Finance.
Hey, welcome everyone to the fifth episode of the Mad Scientist Financial Independence Podcast. My guest today is Mike from LackingAmbition.com. Uh, Not only is Lacking Ambition one of my favorite blog names, but it's also one of my favorite blogs as well. Mike's been writing for over 5 years now, I think, and I've been a avid reader for at least the last couple, so I've been very excited to get him on the show to talk to him. Um, Lacking Ambition is actually a little bit of a misnomer because he's done some pretty incredible things in a very short amount of time in his life. So he not only did he build up a real estate portfolio that is now producing enough income to sustain his lifestyle completely. He did it very early in life after quite a short working career, and he was also able to pick up a law degree along the way. So there's a lot to talk about. I'm excited to have him on the show. So hey, Mike, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today.
No problem. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. So for those out there that aren't familiar with LackingAmbition.com, it's you've been writing there since I think about 2007.
Yep.
But your pursuit of FI started long before that. Is that right?
Yeah, I'd say if I had to pick a time when it really started, I mean, I knew in high school that I didn't want to do the 40-year career, uh, typical trajectory that most people take, because it just everything about it didn't appeal to me at all.
Sure.
So the moment when I finally decided I can actually pursue financial independence and live a low-cost lifestyle and then just do whatever I want with my time, I think was I was probably about 22 at the time,
Hmm.
and I had gone after high school. I went to college to study classical studies, and philosophy, and I had a good time with it for about 2.5, 3 years. But then I just sort of got I was an idealist, and I didn't think the students around me were. It seemed like everyone was worried about grad school and their marks, and the passion for the actual subjects that we were studying just seemed to fizzle out. And I thought, why am I paying all this money? It was a private school, liberal arts school. I thought, why am I paying all this money to be here when, if all I want is a degree, I could be somewhere way cheaper? And so I decided to take some time off. And that's when I actually bought some land in New Mexico, out in the just the middle of the desert, about, I don't know, 60, 70 miles south of Albuquerque, uh, along the Rio Grande. And I bought an acre for $500, and I put up a big tent on it. And I moved out there with my motorcycle, a couple of solar panels, a laptop, a cell phone, and some books. And I just spent about almost a year out there. It was about 9.5 months, I think I was out there.
Wow.
And I wasn't like this mountain man living totally off the land. I mean, I did hunt a little bit, but that was more for fun than sustenance.
Hmm.
I would get like big bags of rice from in town. I had my motorcycle. The nearest town was about 6 miles away, so I'd ride into town all the time, talk to people, and uh, so I wasn't like bear out there, surviving off of rattlesnakes and all that stuff. But I was doing a lot of hiking and a lot of reading, and just a lot of reflecting a lot. And that's sort of when I started to decide that I really liked having that time to myself, to be able to just go for a hike for several days, up in the Rockies, or to just take my bike, my motorcycle, and go exploring. Um, so I decided, I wanted to continue being free like that, but I
Hmm.
also sort of had this desire to live a more typical lifestyle, I guess. Not so much that I wanted the comforts and everything, but I just wanted, I think, the social aspects of it, to be
Sure.
just, a normal, a normal guy rather than a crazy guy living in a tent in the middle of the desert.
Right. Now before that, were you quite like minimalist and not really concerned with everything else that a 20-year-old at that age would probably be wanting, or did that then change you even more and make you realize that you didn't actually need a lot to be happy?
Well, I think like Thoreau was a real big influence on me when I was about, gosh, probably only about 15 years old, when
Hmm.
I read Walden Pond, and it really resonated with me. And that's why I decided to study philosophy instead of something a little more with maybe a higher return on investment. I was also a pretty successful freelance programmer when I was a teenager. I taught myself PHP and Perl, and I was doing like back end web development
Oh,
for
nice.
these web developers, and I was making pretty good money as like a 15, 16, 17 year old. And I was just blowing it all on junk. I mean, what I call junk,
Right.
like fancy cars and computers that were out of date in 2 years, and surround sound systems, and just ridiculous stuff that I realized just doesn't make me happy. And so I sort of, I mean, it was a very organic process getting to the point where I realized just having a bunch of stuff just isn't enough. It doesn't do it, or it's not that it isn't enough, but it doesn't really contribute to my
Right.
overall level of happiness.
Yeah,
So,
recently, like I've never been one to spend a lot of money growing up or anything, but I always had, if somebody came to my house, they would not think I was living a sparse existence or anything or like
yeah,
that. But over the last 5 years, I'd say I've, been just whittling down what I have and just getting rid of more and more things and just, canceling more things and just the more and more I do it, the happier I get, and that sort of makes me think maybe I should, rather than just keep whittling down until I find the point where I the sweet spot, I guess. Maybe it makes more sense to just completely get rid of everything and then slowly build up and get the things that I'm really missing and really actually did make me happy um, and yeah, I guess living out in the New Mexican desert would I guess you couldn't bring too much stuff out there with you, but
no, yeah, and I moved a lot too as I was working and going to school. So every time I moved, it's like you'd have to bring everything with you. And I was pretty good. I mean, it's tough at first, but once you do it once or twice, it's pretty easy to just take stuff and just give it away or throw it away.
right,
Um, because if you don't, you just end up lugging this stuff all around. I was moving across the country from New Mexico. I'm originally from New England, so I was coming back here, and it's, you can only bring your two check bags. So it's like
exactly, yeah,
I'm not going to spend, $1,000 shipping all this junk. So
yeah, absolutely. So after your stint in the desert, then what did you end up doing after
well,
that?
so I did have internet out there, and I was reading a lot, and I also had a pretty well used library card in the local town that I was near, and I was reading a lot of financial books at that point, towards the end. And I remember I was researching early retirement because I thought that's the closest thing that I could figure the lifestyle that I wanted to live. And everything I found was like, oh, how to retire at 60, or
Right.
55. And I thought, okay, that's not what I'm talking about. And then one day I just punched in extremely early retirement, and then of course Jacob's
Right.
website, Early Retirement Extreme, popped up, and I was already out there in the desert, and I thought that's what I'm doing.
Right, exactly.
And so uh, reading his stuff sort of resonated with me that actually this, maybe it's not that hard to save up a couple $100,000, in a relatively short amount of time, and I could just, continue a very low key lifestyle, and this is actually possible.
Hmm.
And so I decided, I was going to need a job for 5 or 10 years. I figured at that point. So originally, at that point, I thought I wanted to be a cop. I thought that would be fun. So I was sort of applying around, and I couldn't. I mean, I was going through the application process, but then there I just fell into. There was this ad. They were looking for utility workers at the local phone company here in New England.
Hmm.
I'd come back home, and I applied and I got it, and it was they gave me a pay bump and experience credit because of my programming experience, and so I started out at really high pay. It was a union job and one of the last ones around, and I was making great money. They also would pay for my education to finish school, whatever you wanted. That was one of the benefits of our bargaining agreement. And so I finished college when I was up here in New England, and then ended up going to law school too for free, all while I was working, making a pretty good income. And I just rented out. I just kept a real minimalist lifestyle, like you said. I had studio apartments the whole time. Um, no car if I could, or just a sort of a cheap junker that I would fix up and keep running. Um, and I just, I would walk to work, and then I would take the train to class, and I'd collapse into bed at the end of the night, and then do it again the next day for a couple of years. And I started writing about 6 months after I got that job on my blog. So that's kind of where the writing picks up.
Right. And I want to come back to the fact that you're, going to school full time, working full time, and writing, your blog. And
Yeah.
that reminds me of something our mutual friend Jim Collins, I think, left a comment on one of your posts, and he's like, "It's good to finally see some ambition lacking going on around here,
Right.
because it
I
does
know.
it does seem like you do quite a bit." And I'm currently working full time and going to school part time, and I even that is crazy. So I don't know how you were, and I work on the campus, so I don't have any commute between the two. So I don't know how
Yeah.
you were able to do full time both and commute between them.
Yeah, it was really, I mean, it was tough. And I can even sometimes I go back about, a couple times a year, I'll go back and look at my writing and I'll be, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Like I'll see, I mean, you can see this guy's in pain sometimes. It's just so difficult to keep up, especially around towards the end of the semester when exams are coming and papers are due. And I had just to be a wizard of I remember I used a calendar program, and like, every time slot something was scheduled, and if there was an opening, like, oh, next Thursday from 2 to 5, that's when I can write that paper. So I would like pencil it in. Just every moment had to be like micromanaged like that, just in order to get the minimal things done.
Right. Yeah. That actually brings me to one of your earlier posts. Actually, you're in this time period where you're doing all of this stuff, and you talk about all like these business ideas that you have or hobbies that you want to start looking into and stuff. And if you didn't have all school and work, you would be able to do it. But then, like, one of the later paragraphs, you talk about, well, if I'm being honest with myself, if I did have all that free time, would I really be tackling all of this stuff? Or and that really resonated with me, because I find that is what's happening with me a bit. Like, anytime school breaks, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get all this stuff done. But then it's like, well, then I'm not urgently doing things. I'm not as focused, and time just slips by, and that's something I actually worry about happening after financial independence. Like, I have all these big plans, and then it's like, well, when I have all the time in the world, is it are you still as driven and
Right.
focused? And I was wondering if how it's changed for you pre and post financial independence, and if you
Yeah.
are still getting a lot of stuff done that you had thought you were going to get done after FI.
Yeah. I haven't really, I feel like I'm just getting started on sort of the financially independent part of my life because, Um, I just graduated school about a year ago, and
Hmm.
then I finally I quit this part-time job I had back in September, and then I had just purchased a house, so I was fixing up the house. I didn't really have it finished until about February of this year. So I've really only had February, March, and April, so about 3 months.
Hmm.
And for a month of that, I was traveling too. So um, I haven't right now. I feel kind of like a high schooler at like a graduation. It's like there's just all these possibilities. I can just sort of do whatever I want, and it feels really good. But as far as what I find myself doing with my time, yeah, I mean, I'm not. I certainly haven't picked up a ton of projects yet, but I don't. I mean, I'm not holding my feet to the fire too much, and I'm not going to worry about it that much because right now I do plan on getting some more temp work in the future because while I am financially independent, I do want my income to be a little bit higher.
Hmm.
So I do plan on working in maybe another year or two, and getting some more real estate investments. But
Yeah.
so right now I haven't really like worried about like, oh, if I waste a day. And you're right, there's this sort of temptation to say like when you work and you only have Saturday and Sunday to get everything done, well, you have to do it.
Hmm.
But when you don't have anything to do Monday or for the rest of the week, you can say, oh, I'll do that Tuesday or Wednesday or
Right.
Thursday. Yeah, there was actually this I don't know if you're familiar with Retired Sid. She blogs. I linked to her through my
Oh yeah.
site.
Yep.
Yeah, and she actually had a post earlier this year saying, don't worry about it. Like if you can't get it done, it's not that's what retirement's for. You always have the next day, and it's kind of this sort of mindset that I mean, I'm not really. I guess I've sort of come to peace with myself that I'm not going to worry too much about trying to just get all this stuff done, and I'm really going to try to enjoy, uh, as much as I can.
Right.
So if that means I'm going to hang out with my friends all day long, or watch a movie in the afternoon, or just spend 5-6 hours going for a hike when really I should be maybe mowing the lawn. Then well, maybe the lawn can wait another day.
Right. No, it's a great point. And as you were speaking, I just sort of came to the realization like I'm still in the, working mindset. Like all of these things that I'm excited to try out, most of them are like business ideas and stuff. And it's like,
Hmm.
well, I guess after I, finally achieve financial independence, you know, business ideas, yeah, they could be fun and rewarding on a non-monetary level, but I guess the biggest driver is money. But by then I won't need it. So yeah,
Yeah.
what's it matter if I, put off a little bit of programming until
Yeah.
the weekend or something? So
Sometimes I think it would be fun to take on a big project, but then I sort of stop myself. Actually, Jim Collins, he came over to visit last summer to see the place that I
oh,
fixed up,
hmm.
and while he was talking, he said, he made the point, like you said, the comment he made on my blog that you're not. What are you talking about lacking ambition? I mean, look at what you've done.
Hmm.
But I said, well, it's not so much that I lack ambition; it's more that I actively suppress it. That because I do have the urges to do these, big. Oh, wouldn't it be fun to, start this organization or start that company or maybe, build a big addition or something to the house or so, or have a giant garden or something like that. But then I sort of stop myself because I know things are more easily begun than
Right.
finished, and oftentimes when you're in the middle of those projects, it's not nearly as fun as you thought it was going to be at the beginning, and so I allow myself to go slowly into things, and but we'll see what I'm, maybe after a year or two of being idle, maybe then I'll want to do something, and that's fine if that's the course it takes, then that's the course it takes. I did when I was last September. I met this older couple from Australia. They were traveling over here, and they had retired in their late 30s, and they told me I offered we were all together, and I offered them a bottle of wine that I had. It was only about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and they said no, they don't drink until 5. And I said, oh, okay, okay. And they said they made that rule because when they first retired, they found themselves about a year into it, and he said he was just sitting on the couch. It was like 12:30 in the afternoon, and he was drinking some wine and watching children's television. He said I can't do this anymore.
Right.
Which so I think I don't know if you have to really worry that you're just going to turn into this slob or this blob that doesn't do anything, because if it gets to the point where you're not enjoying yourself, then you will do something.
Right.
You'll reignite those passions and start a project. You'll say, okay, I need to do something now, and you'll start doing it.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, and I really, yeah, I like the fact that you said that you're, gonna pick up some part-time work and things, and that's been my mindset as well. Like all the, the few friends and family that I actually tell my plan to,
Right.
they're always like, well, what if you want to have kids, or what if you want to do this, or what if this happens, and it's like, well, yeah, I I could continue working for the next decade and have enough in the bank that'll completely cover anything that could come up, or I could, stop next year, and then if I do want to have kids, then I can, decide, well, do I want to spend 6 months working so that I can build up enough money to, have kids? And it, I think a lot of people just think retired, once you're retired, that's it, you can't go back. But especially in
Right.
today's world with, all of the opportunities on the internet and things like that, and remote work and all of that, it's not
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah. I mean, people worry about having a big gap in the resume, but true, that is a detriment when you're looking for work, but it can be overcome. I mean,
Sure.
it's not that hard to either. And when you are retired, you have a lot of capital at your disposal, so it's not that hard to start a small business, and you've got a long you can have a long ramp up time to build up a client base. I mean, because you have that cushion there where you don't really need the income. You're just, looking to enhance it. So,
Right, absolutely. So, okay, so now you're a utility lineman. You're going back to school. This is um, back when you're what, like 21 or something like that?
yeah, I was probably about 23 at that point, I think.
23. So,
Yeah.
how long do you end up sticking around with the utility company?
I was only there about 3 years, and then the big crash came. I think it was 2009 or whenever it was. And so the utility company had a massive layoff. They let thousands of people go, and I was, of course, I was one of the junior people, so I was one of the first to go. And the nice thing was since I had already started my, I'd already done a year of law school, they'd already paid for a year of law school at that point, and they had the part of the layoff policy was if you were already in a degree program, they would finish paying for the next 2 years, and that would help. That was just what I needed to
Oh
finish my
wow.
degree. So it was kind of perfect. And I got some severance pay, and I had a lot of money saved up because, like I said, that whole time I barely spent any money.
Wow,
Uh,
yeah, that is good. And then you had more free time to do other things in addition to your law degree. And
Yeah, mostly at that point, it was just sort of nice to have a break.
yeah,
And
I bet.
I'm trying to think back to exactly what I did. I picked up some more classes and I did some internships, and I just sort of enjoyed living in Boston for a while and explored the city. And that was kind of a nice time. I mean, I liked school. I like going to class. I like learning. I like engaging with the students, professors, and the subjects. So for me, it was nice to be able to just be able to focus on that.
Yeah,
You know,
and I have to ask you because I'm in a similar situation. I'm getting a free master's degree right now, and that was the primary
it's
reason I
like
took the job.
it's like getting away with murder.
Right.
When to get those tuitions so high, it's just
Oh,
such a great
it's
deal
it's
if you can get that.
ridiculous. Yeah, there's absolutely no way I would be paying for it, but it's great when
Right.
it's free. But sometimes when a big paper's due or something, I find myself like I'm not going to use this degree. I'm going to be, hanging up my work clothes next year. So by the time like a few months after I graduate, and it's like, why am I putting myself through all this additional work?
Yeah.
Did you go through the same sort of struggles?
Not really, because for me it wasn't intrinsically. I mean, I would pick classes that I was interested in rather than the ones that were most likely to get me land a job or whatever. So it was nice to be able to explore that kind of stuff. I mean, I always liked school, and it takes away a lot of pressure too. That I didn't have to worry about being at the top of the class, so it's much easier to walk into exam and know that, well, all I really have to do is pass this thing. I don't, so
That's
it's
a good point.
you don't sweat at all. It's and you do when you're not under pressure like that, or at least when I'm not under pressure like that, I tend to do a lot better because I
Yeah.
just I'm more confident and
Yeah, that's true. That's
yeah.
a good point. Yeah, the master's degree I'm doing is like a liberal studies degree because that's the one I can do part time. And
Hmm.
the classes that I'm taking, my program director must just think I'm absolutely crazy just because I'm just picking and choosing all these random things that
Yeah,
I'm interested in and have like absolutely no structure
it's
whatsoever.
it's great. I mean I think I wrote a post once about how I viewed college and higher education. I mean I have the luxury to do this as a luxury item rather than as looking at it purely as an investment because as an investment vehicle for me it hasn't been that great. I mean I
Right.
all my money has come from nothing to do with my degree so far, any of my education.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just see it as something that I enjoy, and I think it makes it easier for me to sort of understand myself and the world, and it makes it. I don't know. I think it just makes it easier to sort of live with less
Yeah, no,
too.
I think I would agree.
Yeah.
Do you plan on ever going back, like getting a PhD or anything?
You, when I was at the when I was still at the utility company, and they had the I mean, it was free tuition for as long as you wanted. By the way, I was the only guy I knew. I worked with about 80 other guys. I was the only guy who actually took advantage of it. So it was a pretty, it was a pretty cheap program for the company to run.
Right.
I couldn't believe it. I was telling all the guys they should be doing it. They should be doing it. But you know how people are. So yeah. So when it was free, I thought, oh, I don't know, maybe I'll get a master's in physics or theology, or wouldn't that be fun?
All
And I
right.
thought, or economics.
Yeah.
But now I'm at the point where I think I'm pretty. I mean, I wouldn't say never, like maybe in 5, 10 years, but I could see myself wanting to do something like that. But right now, 99% sure. No, I think I'm done. If I want to look into something or learn about something, I'll just do it on my own. And
Right.
you know, yeah,
And yeah, to be clear, you weren't just at like a couple $1,000 community college down the road. You were at Harvard, weren't you?
yeah. Well, I was at the Harvard Extension School, which is it's a part of the university they started up a little over 100 years ago. It was geared towards local people in the city to take advantage of the university, and they've sort of grown it up. And I think uh, I don't know, about 50, 60 years ago. I'm not exactly sure, but they started offering degrees at that point
Wow.
to people. And so now they grant a few hundred degrees every year to people who just go through the whole course schedule. And
Wow.
yeah, it was a great time. And you get a lot of the same professors who teach the Harvard College courses teach the extension courses. A lot of times you're with the college kids in class in the same classes, and it's you're on this, you're on the Harvard campus, and it was a great experience. I loved the students, I loved the teachers, even the administration was good to work with, and it was it was it was a really good time. It made it a lot easier to go to class and actually enjoy it, even
Yeah.
though it was stressful. But
So yeah, that definitely that's a huge benefit from the
yeah,
utility company. That couldn't have been cheap.
no, yeah,
Yeah, that's I actually read a post a while ago when I after I started this degree and saying this this seems to be such a good way of going about getting a graduate degree because I'd always thought I'd want to go back to school, but the thought of paying all that money was just
yeah.
crazy. So
If I had to pay for it, I don't think I might have finished my undergrad degree, but I never certainly would have gone to grad school if I had to pay full price.
yeah, I
It just
completely
it just
agree.
doesn't make sense.
No,
Yeah.
definitely. So yeah, so now so you worked there for 3 years, and you were able to pretty much go from zero to nearly financially independent in just that time.
Well, pretty much. I mean, I had a lot of seat. I mean, I still had to put a lot of labor into this real estate I bought. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
let's get into the real
Yeah.
estate if you don't mind. So when did you pick up your first rental property?
Um, that would be it was, I think it was I think that was 2009. It's on my blog. It was about 3 or 4 years ago in October.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought this little house in Massachusetts for I think I paid it was like 22 or 23,000 for that one. And that was I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, I had the cash and I knew I had my uncle is a he buys old houses, knocks them down, and he builds these McMansions and sells them in high cost of living areas. And
Mm-hmm.
that so he knew a realtor, and he gave me her number, and she was really happy to help me. And even though her commission wasn't that high on a $23,000 house, but she was just excited to see me get started.
Mm-hmm.
And so she helped me out, and she made it real easy. And I had to look at a ton of houses. I found this one and I paid cash for it. It was a small two-bedroom house. I pretty much taught myself a whole bunch of stuff. Like I mean, I didn't know how to do hardly anything. I had to learn how to put windows in, do drywall, trim work, plaster, paint, install flooring, do a little bit of electrical work, a little bit of plumbing work. Gosh, I don't know, but whatever else, siding work, roofing. Um, all that kind of stuff. I just had to teach myself. I would read a book, I'd go on the internet, I'd watch a video, and I'd figure it out. It took me about 6 months to fix that place up, and then I rented it out for 900 a month.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I started looking for another one as soon as it was ready, so I did it twice over again. So now I have three places, one of which I live in, and the other two I rent out for 1900 a month altogether.
Wow.
And I was able to do it without any mortgages or anything. I was able to pay cash. All the houses I paid less than 25 grand for all of them. Um,
See, that's really interesting. I was speaking to Paula from affordanything.com in the last episode, and she also buys around that that price point, and
hmm
um, up here in Vermont, it's like I'm I'm not looking, so maybe that's
Right.
the problem. But it's like wow, I can't imagine a a house going on sale for that much. But you live in Massachusetts, and that's probably even more expensive generally.
Right. People think of New England. They think they could never afford a house here, but I bought three of them.
Right.
With like for less than the price of a lot of cars.
Now,
The
are these like rural houses or?
no two. Well, the one I live in is just outside of the center of a small town. And one of them that I rent is only a couple miles away from the one I live in, and then another one is about 15 miles away, and it's in a city, a small city
Mhm.
in central Mass, and so I mean, there's a mix of city houses available and rural houses available, and basically there are these foreclosures, and they've fallen into disrepair, and the copper pipes are all stolen. Who knows if the furnaces work?
Mhm.
Oftentimes the roofs have leaks and there's water damage inside, and so you go inside and it's just frightening. But then my attitude is the scarier it looks, the better, because that means the cheaper it's going to be, you know.
Right.
And so I sort of know what to look for now to see, what problems are, scary looking but easy to fix, and what problems are actually scary. Maybe I should run away from them.
Right.
But these are just, I mean, there's no secret to it. I mean, they're just MLS listings. They're regular real estate listings that the bank lists after the foreclosure process has been done.
Hmm.
And I mean, you go to any MLS searching website and you can see them. They don't last long at all. I mean, when there's a house, once it gets below about 40 grand, if it's any kind of, as long as it's not a complete tear down, it's gone within maybe 5 to 10 days. So you sort of have to watch the listings like a hawk. What I do when I'm ready to buy, I just sort of watch the listings like a hawk. And anytime there's something listed, I look at it that day or the next day, and you can't hem and haw. I have one friend who says he wants to do this, but every time he looks at a house, it takes him 2 weeks to decide whether or not he wants to make an offer, and you can't do that. You got to go in, make an evaluation, say, okay, I'm going to offer this much, and I write the offer and send it in. And so from the moment I see the listing to when my offer's in, it's probably definitely less than 48 hours, often less than 24.
Wow.
And you got to have the cash ready to go, and they'll say, we accept your offer, and then a week later they'll do the closing.
Right.
And it's just like that. So I do my own house inspections. There's a lot less paperwork when it's cash involved, so I have to sort of, the first one, I had a friend of a friend who's a house inspector go through it with me, and he kind of sort of showed me how to do it. So then the next two I just did myself, and so that's what I do now.
Nice. And so how about the time frame of when you're doing this? Are you still in law school and working at the utility company at this point, or did you pick up
Uh,
your first house after that?
I believe my first house, I had been laid off for about a year at that point, but I was still finishing up my last year of law school. So I would go up and work on a house and then go to class, and I split my time between them. Um,
No.
yeah, but I wasn't working though at that point. Yeah.
How about before you started investing in real estate? Were you mainly an uh, stock investor, or
Yeah, that's pretty boring though. All I was doing was buying index funds. I was a passive index asset allocation investor.
hey, that's the best way to do it.
I think so. It's the lazy, easy way, and I think that's the best way.
Yeah.
I mean, and it might be the best way, despite the lack of effort that you need, because it seems to have pretty good returns. Just asset allocation, passive index funds, regular rebalancing.
Excellent. And then
Nothing
so
exciting.
so then you just started shifting that over and using that to buy the properties, and you said you're up to
Exactly.
3 properties now,
I'm up to three right now. Yep.
and
Yeah.
is that that's your main source for all of your passive income to sustain you after financial independence?
Yeah, yeah. So right now my gross rents are 1,900 a month, with no mortgages. Rule of thumb is, take your gross rents and cut them in half, and that'll be your net rent usually. I figure though I'm a little higher than that because I have no mortgage to pay,
Hmm.
and I do all my managing myself, and I fix everything myself. So I think rule of thumb for me might be closer to 60, maybe even 70% return. So I'm probably looking at 1,300 a month, or about 1,200 a month
Hmm.
net, and that's enough because my personal expenses are less than that. So
That's great. And
yeah,
I know on your blog you've been saying you may be in the market to pick up another couple of
yeah.
properties, possibly. What do you think the current environment's like? And I know it's all local, so obviously this will
Yeah.
just be a mass thing.
Well,
But are there still opportunities out there?
yeah. I mean, I live in fear that it's all just going to turn around tomorrow and there won't be any deals left. So I'm sort of going as fast as I can to get together the funds to buy the next. I definitely want at least two more at this point, is what I'm thinking.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking, just by looking at the foreclosure rates and the number of foreclosures that have been happening over the past year, and that will probably continue to happen over the next few months at least. That you can see numbers that are of distressed properties. They publish those, or people who are like behind on their
Sure.
payments, and I'm thinking it's going to be at least another year where these properties will be available, and I'm hoping maybe at least 2 years. But beyond that, who knows?
Right. Yeah. No, that's good to know at least. Yeah, it sounds great, and the way you went about it is really inspiring as well. That's something I was really inspired by Paula in the last episode. It just, I tend to overthink things so much, but she just, saw a good deal on a house, ran the numbers, which, the numbers aren't that difficult
Yeah,
to run. It's
right.
not calculus or anything. So, and then
I mean,
realized, oh, sorry,
it
go
can
ahead.
be it can be a little scary the first one because you don't really know what the numbers are. Like I don't really know how much it costs to fix a place up when I first started, so it's you're really ballparking it,
That's
and
true.
you're and my father would tell me, oh, if it were a good deal, someone already would have bought it. That's what he always says. I said, oh, so everyone gets a good deal but me? Is that how that works?
Right.
so so everyone's telling you, oh, don't do it. 20,000, there's got to be something wrong with it. How's that cheap? And so you got to kind of go against what everyone's telling you, and you got to trust your the research you've done, and you know just do it, and kind of hope for the best. And it worked out for me, and it was definitely risky. I mean, I definitely could have missed something, and it could have been a $25,000 mistake for me. But
Right. That's
so
not
far,
enough, not enough to put you under, and you don't have
right.
a bank breathing down your neck or anything. So I think that's
Exactly. That's what I figured. Worst case, whatever.
right.
25, I can recover from that.
Yeah,
I'm young.
no, absolutely, and that's a great, like I've always wanted to pick up more skills like that, and my wife and I have talked about when we're gonna head abroad probably at the end of next year, and
Nice.
maybe do some like volunteering or something like that,
Uh-huh.
Habitat for Humanity sort of stuff, or
I
in
think that's a great way to learn some skills. Yeah.
yeah, you think? Okay, cool. Yeah, because we've just been talking about that recently. But what you did as well is that's such a such a good idea. You don't have, like I said, you don't have the bank breathing down your neck, so it's not like you need to hurry up and get everything ready and get a tenant in, or else you're not gonna be able to pay your mortgage. Just yeah, get a
Right.
fixer upper that's paying cash. Get a fixer upper, and then yeah, fix it up yourself and learn everything as you go along. That's an awesome way of doing
Yeah, it's nice if you have the cash, the time, and the stomach for it, and then the
it.
willingness to do the work. Yeah, but if you have all that, then it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, yeah, we're getting to near the end of the podcast. So usually I ask all of my guests if there was any, like, just one piece of advice you'd give to somebody that's just starting on the path to financial independence. What would that be?
I think what I would tell, I think one of the biggest things for me when I was just working every day, going to school, was I was wondering, with all this effort, all this work, all this, putting all this money away, I didn't even know if it was going to work, like my plan. I was that was sort of I had this self-doubt that I wasn't sure. And most people, this is an unusual way to sort of live your financial life, so it's not a common thing. You don't see a lot of examples of it. And if you share your plans with other people, as you were just was talking about, you'll get all this negative criticism and feedback about how it can't work, it won't work, it will never work. And I would just like to say to those people who have thought it through and are working on a plan and are working towards their goals that they shouldn't listen to those people, and they should just be confident, and they will succeed if they keep at it, and
Yeah, it's
to not
excellent
worry about
advice.
that.
Yeah, no, it's excellent advice because yeah, I've just stopped telling people. I think it'll be it'll be more fun, at the end of next year when they're like, "So, where are you
If someone
working?"
really probes and is really interested and wants to know, I'll talk about it, but I don't advertise it. Certainly, that's why I keep my blog sort of semi-anonymous because I just don't want to have to deal
Yeah,
with naysayers all the time.
yeah, no, we can. Mr. Money Mustache just got on Washington Post cover page on the
Right?
online
Yeah, I saw
edition, and
that.
and I think he's been having to deal with
Yeah,
a lot of
he's a
garbage.
braver man than I am. Yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely.
good for him.
But yeah, no, that's great advice. And if anyone does want to get in touch with you, should they just go over to lackingambition.com? Do you got a way to get in
Yeah,
touch?
go to my blog right now. I did have a contact form up. I'll probably have it up by the time you air this again. Or you can leave a comment on one of my articles and get in touch with me that way. And I'm happy to talk to anybody who wants to get in touch with me.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much, Mike. It was great talking to you, and I'm sure everybody out there's had a really good time listening. I know I spoke to Jim last night, Jim Collins from JL Collins NH, and he was really really excited
Oh, good.
to hear the interview, and he said to say hello. So
All right, great.
there's
Well,
at least
thanks a lot. It
one.
was fun.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Take care.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye. Well, I hope you agree that that was a pretty amazing story. Mike's path to financial independence really highlights the importance of cash flow over everything else. it's easy to get caught up with, I need X amount of dollars to achieve financial independence, but really, at the end of the day, you just need to be concerned with, X amount of steady, reliable, passive income per month instead. Because if you've got steady income coming in every month that exceeds your bills, then that's pretty much the definition of being financially independent. So, um, yeah, I'd like to touch on Mike's numbers again, just because it's really inspiring. He said he bought three properties for less than $25,000 each. So, assuming that he had to put another maybe 10 grand or so into each of them to get them into a livable condition, we're still only talking about just over $100,000 invested. So, he's bringing in $1,200 a month in consumable cash flow, and it only took him just over $100,000 and a lot of hard work to get there. But the lower number is definitely very inspiring, and that's one of the reasons that real estate is an exciting topic for me. So cash flow is actually something I'm probably going to focus a bit more on the Mad Scientist in the coming months. Since there's so many different ways to create cash flow, there's many interesting strategies to pursue financial independence that are worth exploring. So I think I'll touch on that a bit more on the site in the months to come. So yeah, I thought it was a great interview, and I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I was actually not planning on releasing this episode for another month or so, but I had such a good time speaking with Mike and enjoyed listening to the interview so much that I just couldn't wait to get it published. So figured I'd put it out there earlier than planned. And I'm also starting to think about maybe kicking the podcast up a notch. I have a lot of exciting ideas in the pipeline, and so I'm thinking I may start releasing more episodes in quicker succession. So this is hopefully the start of that. If you guys enjoy the podcast and wouldn't mind taking a minute to leave a review on iTunes about it, I'd really appreciate it. I put a link on the show notes to make this easy for you if you're up for it. I was actually listening to a podcast about podcasting last week, and I realized I do absolutely nothing to promote the show. So I figure if I'm going to start releasing more episodes, I should also try to do better on the promotion side of things as well. But don't worry, I hate doing any sort of self-promotion, so you don't have to worry about this podcast turning into a big self-promotion machine or anything like that. So what I love to do, however, is promote other people's great things that they're doing. So if you haven't been to lackingambition.com yet, definitely take a look, because as I said in my intro, it's one of my favorite personal finance blogs. So I'm sure it could be one of yours as well if you haven't checked it out yet. So yeah, thank you very much again to Mike for taking the time to speak with me, and thank you guys for listening.
The square root of -1 equals finance.